From Phase 1 to 3, Tony Stark and Nick Fury were the most prominent characters in the MCU. Not saying that others like Captain America and Thor weren't featured, just that these two had a bigger presence within the overall story of the MCU. Hello everyone, and welcome to my secret base. My name is Edster, and in today's video, I will take a look at some characters who will have a larger presence in the MCU as a whole moving forward. Alright, let's get started. Nick Fury was a fixture of early MCU post-credit scenes, even when he wasn't actually in those scenes. I don't expect this to change moving into Phase 4 and 5, especially with those phases likely focusing on new heroes. I, however, expect a small difference moving forward, and that is Maria Hill. Hill has been around for a while now, but her presence isn't as big as Fury's old right-hand man, Agent Coulson. I expect that Hill will see her role grow within the MCU, likely becoming in charge of recruiting Earthbound heroes into S.H.I.E.L.D. such as Shang-Chi, Blade, and potentially She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel, while Fury focuses on the space side of things, recruiting heroes for S.W.O.R.D., which will probably include Nova and maybe Adam Warlock once he's introduced. So get ready to see these two continue to dominate those glorious post-credit scenes for years to come. Provided that we don't see another Marvel and Sony hiccup, we're probably going to see Spidey's role expanded in the MCU. As a heir to Tony Stark, Peter will have a larger role in the next few phases. Though similar to Tony, this doesn't mean that he will appear in every movie, but that the events of his movies will have a larger impact on the overall story than others. This will be done through mentions of the events that happen in his films, as well as villains from his movies being mentioned or popping up in other franchises. And lastly, small cameos and supporting roles in other movies. I think the events of Far From Home would just get mentioned in the first few Phase 4 movies, but from there on, most of Spider-Man events will likely become very important to the overall story, with characters such as J. Jonah Jameson, Norman Osborn once he's introduced, Happy Hogan, who is actually moving from the Iron Man franchise into the Spider-Man franchise, and more popping up or becoming integral parts of the MCU from here, and in case of some of these, from their introductions onwards. Out of other characters on this list, Captain Marvel is the one that will have the least number of crossovers, but will still be very important. Her role moving forward will be a more silent yet important role, that of the difference maker, probably getting name dropped by other characters from time to time, but not really appearing, at least in Earth-based stories. However, she will probably have a more prominent role in space-based stories, likely coming in for situations that call for her to appear, such as a giant fight or having her movies become those that put the pieces together for certain puzzles, just as her first movie did back in Phase 3. Outside of her movies though, she would likely really come in during big team-ups, as I said, such as an Avengers movie, in order to help out our heroes take down whoever the big bad is at the moment, hence the difference maker title. So don't expect to see Captain Marvel teaming up with Ant-Man to take down Whirlwind anytime soon, but do expect Captain Marvel's limited presence to have a big impact on any events she happens to cross over on. Thor was an integral part of the first three phases of the MCU, but out of the original three heroes, he was the one that provided the least to the overall story into Phase 3, since it looks like the next few phases are going to expand upon the space and mystical part of Marvel. It looks like our favorite God of Thunder will now get his time to shine. Already scheduled to be in both Thor, Love and Thunder, and Guardians 3, once again, whenever that comes out. We will likely see him pop up here and there, specifically when they start exploring the different realms such as Olympus, or when talking about other godly beings like the Celestials. I do believe that in the next Thor or Guardians 3, we will be introduced to Olympus, where Hercules debuting likely as a frenemy of Thor. From there on, the God of Thunder will likely have to defend his honor against other godly beings. And like Captain Marvel, he will likely become a difference maker in big screen team-ups, but unlike her, he will appear more often than not, especially if 2012 Loki from the series is moved to the main timeline. Before we get to the last one, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and to turn on those notifications. Alright, are you done? Let's continue. One of the most shocking revelations was that Doctor Strange will now appear in the next Spider-Man movie as a mentor to Peter Parker, similar to Tony Stark. I believe that this appearance and role will not be a one and done, but probably go on for at least one more movie. Well, at least as a prominent role, that is. We could even see the Good Doctor appear in other Spider-Man spin-off movies such as Morbius or even the future Venom films. Aside from becoming an important part of the Spider-Man franchise, Doctor Strange will also become one of the central characters in the overall story from here on out, especially as things such as the mystical, other dimensions, and the quantum realm get explored more in depth. Once characters like Blade, the Eternals, and the Fantastic Four get introduced, he will probably have some type of connections to those. With Blade, since it pertains to the mythical side of Marvel, we could see him pop up to advise or help him in his battles against otherworldly beings. Or maybe he could even have a small role similar to the role he had in Thor Ragnarok. The Eternals will give us a glimpse at the past and possibly even the future of the MCU. This movie will explore the mythical and celestial part of the MCU. Because of this, whether it is during their movie or after, I could see him being closely tied with some characters from this movie, especially Black Knight. Lastly, there is a large array of ways he could be tied to the Fantastic Four. One of those could be through Doctor Doom, who, like Strange, is also a very powerful sorcerer, who may draw out the Sorcerer Supreme if a battle gets out of hand. Well, that is all for this week. Who do you think will be prominently featured in the next few phases? Do you think any of these characters will be as important as predicted? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check out some of my additional content on the screen right now. And if you like this video, give it a share. Lastly, like me on Facebook. The link is in the description. See ya!